Welcome to the 2021 U.S. Squash Junior Awards Night. We're here to celebrate the class of 2021 and thank the graduating parents who are moving on from junior squash, as well as, most importantly, present our National Sportsmanship Awards. And we'll also give you a sneak peek of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center, specifically the Team USA high performance areas. We've made a lot of progress in the last few months with COVID and mitigating that, but we're not there yet. So this is a largely virtual event, apart from those of us who are here. And we're gonna go from here to upstate New York, down to Florida and back, out to California via Massachusetts. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And we just wanted to say that we can't wait to welcome you back to squash. We're so excited that we're able to get events going again. Kim will describe some of that later on in the evening. And it's been such a long year, and we're just really eager to get back to what we love. So I'm joined here by Narelle Krizak, who's the Assistant Director of the Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center, Kim Clerkin on my left here, who's the Vice President of Programs and Events at U.S. Squash, and Sakura Miller, who's Senior Manager of Community Programs. So welcome all of you, glad to have you here. Kim, I know we'll be hearing from you later on as we do the junior roundtable, so welcome, glad you're here.
Thank you.
And we are here at a really special location in a spectacular venue, so I need to ask Narelle. Narelle, tell us, where are we, what's behind us, what else is here, and when will it be open?
Great, thanks Kevin. I'm really excited. We're here tonight at the Specter Center. We're sitting on the second floor under the US Squash Hall of Fame. Right behind me we have 18 singles courts, 2 all-glass courts. We also have, if you can just see in the back, there's 2 blue American hardball doubles courts. It's exciting for media and broadcasting that will be taking the game to the next level with playing with an all-white ball. To the left, beyond that, is US Squash headquarters, and to the right is Squash Smart's Learning and Innovation Center. And upstairs we have the Media and Broadcasting Center. And some of the things you can't see, we'll take you around later in the evening down to Team USA and seeing all their services.
Thanks, Narelle. Thanks for all the effort in making it happen. Having been involved for 5 years in the planning and the construction, I have to say it's incredible just simply being here. Sakura, I wanted to welcome you as well.
Thanks, Kevin.
You've got a big task at hand to represent and drive community squash programming, so I look forward to hearing about that later today. So we'll get back to this trio at the end of the evening, but first to our national honors. So the first national honor is the Droy Sportsmanship Award, and that's given to 1 female and 1 male graduating senior who's played at a high level, who also exemplifies excellent sportsmanship and exemplary behavior. And we believe that squash is the best environment to learn the values associated with good moral character. And those are values such as integrity, honesty, accountability, respect, fairness. And these are lifetime values and principles of good sportsmanship. So these national awards give us an opportunity to shine a light and focus attention on the best examples of these values and to reinforce them in the community. So to present the first award is Mike in Massachusetts. So over to you, Mike.
Thanks, US Squash. It's truly wonderful to be here with Catherine, and it's an honor to present her with the Droy Award. I've had the pleasure of coaching Kat for 4 years while she's been at Groton. She's been a great example of sportsmanship over the years and is very deserving of this award. Congratulations, Kat. I'm incredibly happy for you, and I'm honored to present you with this award. Can you please share a few words on your squash journey and what this means to you?
Thank you, Mike, and thank you so much, US Squash. I'm honored and humbled to be receiving this year's Droy Sportsmanship Award, and what an awesome way to end my junior squash career. I'm extremely lucky to be surrounded by a strong community of squash players, coaches, and family who model what being a good sport looks like. My first coach and role model, John Lau, introduced me to what sportsmanship means in squash through his own court demeanor and actions. One of his favorite things to tell me during practice was that squash is a gentleman's and gentlewoman's sport. I've really taken this message to heart over the years, because it emphasized to me just how central sportsmanship is in squash. Shahir Razek and everyone at Squash Revolution, as well as Mike Tootle and the Groton Girls varsity squash team, have all also played a crucial role in the way I have become a squash competitor. They modeled to me what being a fierce, yet gracious, competitor looks like, and I have been shaped by their collective grit, determination, and passion for squash. And to my parents and family, the people that I look up to and take after the most, thank you. You have shown me throughout the years what it means to work hard while always remaining kind and sportsmanlike. As my grandpa always tells me, go out there and give your 110% effort. You can always rest when you get home. And so I pass on these two messages from John Lau and my grandpa of sportsmanship and competitive drive. Because in squash especially, you cannot have one without the other. And that's one of the most important things I think I've learned throughout my junior squash career. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Wonderfully said. Again, congratulations. Thanks, US Squash, and back to you at the Specter Center.
So to present our second honor, we have a different Mike, also in Massachusetts. So I'm going to send it over to Mike.
I'd like to thank US Squash in recognizing Merritt for this prestigious award. I've had the pleasure of coaching Merritt all 4 of his years here at Deerfield, and he's been the captain the last 2 years. And he always plays the game with dignity, win with dignity, lose with dignity. It's an honor for me to present him with the DeRoy Award.
Thank you so much for honoring me with the DeRoy. I've always viewed it as the highest compliment squash could give a player. Thinking back on it, every player that has previously won the DeRoy has shaped me as a person and a player. I view sportsmanship as a form of respect for the sport we play. I try to empathize with each player and act in the behavior that I would want them to act for me. I hope to continue to inspire people to prioritize sportsmanship in the game of squash and to take it wherever they go.
Thanks, Merritt. Well said. Congratulations again. Well deserved. And I guess now back to US Squash at the Specter Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike and Mike, and once again, congratulations to Catherine and Merritt on achieving the award. It's showing a great example to the rest of the junior community. But let's also now think about the rest of the class of 2021. It's been a very, very challenging year for them. Many of them have not been able to get on court and compete, and I'm sure this isn't the way that they had expected their junior squash career to end. So we want to celebrate them tonight as well and find out from them, get their reflections on their journey through junior squash over the last perhaps 8 to 10 years. And so this is what they have shared with us.
Squash has been a crucial aspect of my life for the past 8 years. Living in Ohio, it was certainly not the common sport to play, but I am so grateful that I found my way to squash. Over the past few years, I have met countless wonderful and unique people, as well as traveled all across the world. I truly would not be who I am today without the many experiences and opportunities I have had through squash. I have been dreaming of playing squash in college, especially at Dartmouth, for a very long time now, and I couldn't be more excited for the next 4 years. I look forward to being in a setting that will help me improve my game and to be surrounded by other amazing players. Thank you.
Squash has been one of the most important parts of my life, and I can gladly say that playing squash since I was 8 has been the best decision I've ever made. Although squash has challenged me in so many ways, it has always taught me resilience, respect, and strengthened my ability to focus. The intensity of the game has shown me that even though it may seem unwinnable, there is always a chance for a comeback, and I have brought that into everyday life. My favorite memories have been with my high school squash team, specifically making it to the finals of High School Nationals Division I. My team and I worked so hard to get to the finals, and even though we lost, the journey there is unmatched and made us all family. Squash has provided me with so many opportunities to better myself mentally and physically, along with allowing me to meet some of my best friends, so I wouldn't trade the squash community for anything.
Squash was mainly a winter sport for me, despite my coach always begging me to pick up a racket in the off-season. The game was always a way for me to have fun in the winter and get some exercise. However, after winter going by without a squash season, I now understand how much more the game was. My coach always made sure that the team went from strangers to family in a couple months. Everybody knew each other, and you could walk in the halls in school and always say hi to a teammate. The seniors were eager to teach and lead the underclassmen, and the underclassmen didn't take long to come out of their shell and find their way. Squash for me was more of an off-court experience than on-court. I loved playing the game and competing in matches and tournaments. However, it was the relationships I made with my teammates that I will cherish the most.
Squash has played a monumental role in my life and has taught me many life lessons, such as patience, goal setting, and maintaining a positive mindset. I am grateful that I had the opportunity to play on a squash team throughout high school. It was amazing to play amongst such a great group of girls. They were phenomenal players and challenged me to become a better player. Cheering each other on through tough matches, learning to give constructive criticism to better each other, and making lifelong friends were some of the many reasons I loved playing on a squash team. The memories we made and lessons we learned will never be forgotten. They contributed to such an amazing junior squash experience for me. I'm excited to implement what I have learned when I play squash at the collegiate level and can't wait to make many new memories.
That was really nice to see, to be able to recognize these graduating seniors. And those who have made an even larger commitment to the sport often are overlooked, and that's the junior squash parents. So we started a tradition a few years back where we asked some graduating parents who have been in the sport for 10 or 12 years, often with multiple kids, having attended hundreds of tournaments, to reflect on their journey and share their thoughts. So first up, sitting with Den Wilkins, our Senior Vice President of Operations in Rochester, New York, is Dent with Cindy Mollenkoff. Over to you, Dent.
Thanks, Kevin. It's really special to be able to piece together people from all over the country sharing their junior squash experiences and celebrating our entire junior squash community. I have a chance to sit here in Rochester, New York with Cindy Mollenkoff, who has two daughters who have been involved in junior squash for more than a decade at this point. So Cindy, welcome. And for those that don't know your family, even though I know a lot do, can you just tell us about your daughters and your family in junior squash?
Well, thanks for having me today, Den. It's a pleasure to be here. Mark and I have two girls. Caroline is a college junior, and I have a high school senior, Casey, who will be playing college squash next year.
Thanks. And over that better part of a decade, or more than a decade really, with both of them at this point, what do you see from the family's perspective as some of the most valuable aspects of junior squash to Casey and Caroline?
Wow, there are so many valuable aspects of junior squash. Not only hard work, commitment, sacrifice, and sportsmanship, certainly. But I think the most valuable aspect of junior squash has been the friends that they've made. And then friends that Mark and I have made as family. So it's been a terrific experience getting to know other squash families and spending time with them while traveling. So I think for all of us, that would be the most valuable aspect of our junior squash experience.
I mean, I think it's been obvious in the way you talk that even part of a smaller squash community like Rochester relative to some of the bigger ones, that you've still felt very much part of the junior squash community and welcome to part of it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So over your time in junior squash, is there a memory that sticks out as one of your fondest?
Well, there are a lot of fond memories, but I have to say, in reflecting back, the fondest memory for me was Caroline's senior year nationals. Her squash class, the class of 2018, the young ladies of that class got together to do a group photo at some point during the weekend, and they all threw on their college sweatshirts, the teams that they were going to be playing for, and got on court together. I think there were maybe 11 or 12 of them, and stood arm in arm, smiling. You could see the joy on their faces that they had made the journey together, often as competitors, but more often as friends. And as I stood and looked at them all, I realized that a lot of them had been together since they were 10 years old. And I thought that was a very special thing, and I was happy to be a part of that.
I'm impressed you were able to hold it together while taking that video or that photo at the same time.
I didn't say I held it together.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good thing we don't have a photo of you from that moment.
It was a really special moment.
So, as you transition into kind of college squash and the next part of their squash journey, are there any pieces of advice that you would have for families that are just entering junior squash at this point?
I would say the biggest piece of advice that I could pass along would be to have fun as a family. Make sure the kids are having fun. It's really important to remember that. I think that is probably the most important thing. And just remember, you're going to have good days and you're going to have not so good days, good matches, not so good matches. But at the end of the day, I think to stay positive, encourage them, and have a good time.
I think that's great perspective. Thank you for taking a few minutes to sit down with us. I think it's really useful for everyone. And, your two daughters have so much to be proud of. They're really exceptional young women, and it's a credit to them for all the hard work they've put in over the years. And we can't wait to see what they keep doing in college squash. So I'm now going to pass it over to Harry Smith, our Director of Junior Development, who is sitting with the Braff family. And Cindy, thank you again.
Thanks again, Deb.
Thanks, Dent. And Cindy, that was very nicely said. I'm excited to be here with Meg and Doug Braff, parents of Andrew and William, who graduated in 2017, and Charles, who's graduating this spring from high school and will be attending UVA come the fall. Meg and Doug, across your three boys, you've been involved in junior squash for well over a decade. Can I ask you to please share a few words on your journey and the impact that squash has had on your family?
Thanks, Harry. We're so excited to be talking with you. Our journey began in Locust Valley, which is where we lived for many years. And the boys sort of found squash at our local club through a very inspirational coach who, they were tennis players, and then they decided they wanted to be squash players, I think because of him. His name is Sean Johnston. And they started playing tournaments maybe a year after they began training with Sean. And I think it began as something that was very social. They liked going to the tournaments because it was fun. They would all get on the court and play king of the court in between their matches, and they made friends. And then it became, they would train really hard because they wanted to go to the tournaments. That's sort of how they were motivated, I think. And for us, it's been a journey of just, it's been wonderful. There have been a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows, but overall, we all feel we have so much takeaway from squash. And I think my kids are better people for having endured, so many years experiencing match play tournaments, middle school tournaments, high school, and now we're, very involved with college squash because my two are graduating in May from UVA, and Charles will be going to UVA next year. So we've had a great experience so far.
What have they learned, Meg?
They have the discipline that has come from it. I can't say that my kids are the most disciplined kids, but they are more disciplined for sure. Yeah. So discipline, sportsmanship has been so important. I think I really value the importance that U.S. Squash has put on that. We feel they just have made so many good friends. I think the friendships, we see now Andrew and William, interviewing for jobs in New York City, and they're running into friends that they used to play against. And they just, it's funny, the world is very small and it sort of comes full circle, it seems like. So we feel fortunate to have that community of friendships, and we've all been through this together. It's a real bonding experience for being in it for so many years.
Well, and I'd say that that's actually also, as parents, traveling around to the tournaments, you wind up spending the weekends with your kids and seeing them perform and seeing how they've grown. And it's just been really, you think back to the B11s when, the first kid that could hit the back wall with a ball won the point, to the level that they're at now is just amazing to us. I mean, we used to watch the BU15s and just go, oh my gosh, I can't
Our kids are never going to be able to do that.
And then also just the parents. I think Meg and I have so many great friends that we have made through the parents of these kids, and we've all been on the circuits together. And those are friendships that we're going to have forever. So, squash has been very, very kind to our family.
Agreed.
Thank you so much. That's incredible and very, very well said. And as you've both noted, you have been in kind of seen squash from all angles over this past decade plus of junior tournaments and high school squash, middle school squash, and college squash as well. And gone through many ups and downs along that journey. Is there any learnings or takeaways or advice that you'd like to leave and offer to families that are still participating?
Wow, I would say I sort of envy you, because I think really those were really good years, and I just so enjoyed all the time that we got to spend with our kids. So just appreciate that for what it is. And I think, looking back on it, you get so focused on the rankings and getting into a tournament, and everyone has their own personal goals. But when you're coming out the other side of it, very few people, certainly not my kids, are going to go pro. And I think if you can really look at it as, you win some, you lose some, you give it your best all the time, but try not to get so focused on the minutia that occurs within the tournament sometimes. What do you think? I don't know.
No, it's hard when you're in the middle of it, but I think that's great. That's great advice. I will say that, when the boys were young in the juniors, and it's a very individual sport, and that's fantastic, and we love the sportsmanship. When the boys got to high school and they started playing for their high school teams, the team aspect was just unexpected, but so good and just so wonderful to see. And then, to the extent that you do go and play in college, it's even more, the team aspect is even more important. And the other thing I'd say is, for the parents, you kids do want to play in college or do get to play in college, it's been really good. Andrew and William are at UVA, and it's a big school, and you can get lost in a big school. It makes the school small. In a good way.
It's a sense of community.
It's a sense of community, and it's, and they travel around, and it's so funny because, you go to these tournaments, these college tournaments, and you see the same players that they used to play in US squash.
And the same parents.
And the same parents. And so it's like old home week, and it's really good. So to the extent that your players do get to play in college squash, it's been very good for our family in terms of the boys.
Well, Meg and Doug, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me and for sharing your thoughts and for your long-standing involvement and support of junior squash. And best of luck to Charles next year at UVA and William and Andrew as they move on to life after college and the real world. And thank you to all graduating parents who have added so much to our junior community over these years. We'll now scroll the names of the families graduating from junior squash, and we'll send it back over to the Specter Center.
Thanks, Harry. Being able to recognize the graduating parents has become one of the most special parts of this evening. We started that tradition a few years ago, and it's just so inspiring to be able to look back at that journey and look ahead to what the junior players have ahead of them. But right now, I'm standing here in front of the Mural Arts entrance hall at 32nd Street. You're looking out towards downtown Philadelphia, and I'm with Olivia Blatchford Klein. Olivia's world rank number 12, her highest rank to date, and has represented the U.S. a record 8 times on the world stage at World Team Championships, both junior and adult. So I just wanted to ask Olivia, what does it mean to you to be here at the Specter Center?
I mean, I've been part of U.S. squash for so long now. I came through the juniors and obviously have been part of the seniors. And I think that to me, it's the the real symbol of home, and to be here under one roof, to have U.S. squash under one roof, striving for excellence together, I think is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm just so excited to get started.
Fantastic. So, Olivia, while you take them on a behind-the-scenes tour of the high-performance area and components, I'm going to go back upstairs, and then we're going to finish up the evening there. So, take them on a tour.
Sounds good. Let's get going, guys. We're going to start in the High Performance Strength and Conditioning Center. Welcome to the High Performance Strength and Conditioning Suite. As you can see right now, not so many pieces of machinery. We're still getting ourselves sorted. However, you are standing on the turf area. We're going to be doing tons of different types of agility exercises on there, and probably some sprints. We're going to have beautiful Olympic lifting platforms along this middle line. We're going to have our treadmills and all different types of equipment as things start to get a little bit busier. As you can see just over here, we've got the national coaches, office. So they'll be able to peer out as we do our strength and conditioning center sessions in the center. And yeah, it's exciting. So why don't we keep heading this way? So just in here, we have an easy access trainer's room, just to make sure if anything goes a little bit awry, we'll have this area just to make sure everything's tuned up in our bodies, or if anything goes a little bit unplanned. But let's go to the real fun stuff. I'm going to take you guys down the stairs now to the Team USA stables. So very excitingly, we will have our own Team USA physio room. We'll be getting treatment there. We're going to have sauna and cold plunge. We'll have access to this type of recovery room, which really is above and beyond what any athlete could wish for. It really does take us to the top level of any type of national center and national setup anywhere in the world. It really is. We're going to be seeing a lot of athletes in there most of the time. Now, I don't know if we can take a peek, because they're actually redoing the rugs inside the women's Team USA locker room, but this is going to be a special locker room only for Team USA members. We'll get to lock some of our stuff up in there and be able to leave things overnight, so that when we come in, we're ready to go, suit up, get to training. But it's really nice, and they're going to have couches for us to relax in. That's where you're going to find most of us in between sessions, taking naps. The couch on the far left is going to be mine. Men's Team USA locker rooms, rightfully so, not as great as the women's. And here, now this to me was a completely new, I was like, what is this? We've got our Team USA fueling station. There'll be stocked with post-training proteins, smoothies and snacks, and anything that we need to make sure that we're able to go and get right back onto the horse after we've trained in the morning. As you can see, it really doesn't get much better than this. You're going to be training in the most beautiful center in the world. Got your strength and conditioning right there, and then you come down to the stables, recovery, physio, and a snack. Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks, Olivia. We can't wait to see when those sections of the center are done. It won't be long, and we'll have a huge stable of athletes training here at the center. We're close to the end of the evening, and we're going to do a quick junior squash roundtable to answer some questions that have come to us over the last few weeks. First, over to Kim. You've done an incredible job day to day week to week, month to month over the last 14 months, helping navigate the sport back to where we are now, which is just recovering from the pandemic. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, and so I'm hoping you can shed some light on what we can expect in junior squash through the rest of this calendar year.
Yes, certainly, Kevin. I think everyone knows we've been planning a return to competition for a number of months now, and it's really quite exciting to see that actually come to fruition and to be able to start from Memorial Weekend. And as Kevin said, there is light at the end of the tunnel, but at the same time, we still need to remain vigilant. Pandemic is still on, and we still need to keep to our safety protocols. We'll be monitoring that over the summer. Obviously, every day something is happening, and we're monitoring, and we'll adjust those protocols as and when we think it's appropriate. But for now, let's concentrate on the exciting stuff, which is Memorial Weekend. So when we start our return to points-based play, we have 7 regional tournaments that you can play in. We have a phantom point system that's being assigned just before Memorial Weekend as well. So we're really excited to have the series of tournaments over the summer to help people get back on track with our points-based system. We have our gold tournaments, the JCTs already on the calendar, and look out for the bronze and silvers. They're following this week as well for those of you who are interested in playing in those more local tournaments. And then Labor Day weekend, just after Labor Day weekend, we're planning to return to our points-based system, and we're working on what that calendar will look like right now. We're also working on our national calendar for next year, so look out in the next couple of weeks for a calendar of events starting from September all the way through to the end of next season. So we're very excited to get back on track with our junior system.
Are we ready to break some news on the 2021 Junior National Championship, or does that come later?
I don't know, Kevin, what do you think?
Okay, well, look for announcements. We're hoping to host the 2021 Junior Nationals later this fall, so look out for that. And we're playing our part in terms of taking advantage of the center, doing some beta test events. We hosted a skill level event for juniors, and we'll do another one this weekend. So it's been fantastic to kick the tires of the center, and it's actually working remarkably well. So thanks, Kim. I wanted to ask Sakura about community squash programming here at the Specter Center. As anyone knows, if you've been following US Squash, we are all in on the community squash center concept. The Specter Center will be one, and we're pushing and advocating for this model through community squash affiliates nationally. So Sakura, what is community squash and what does it look like here?
Well, Kevin, the Specter Center will be open to the community. There will be opportunities for the community to come in and be introduced to the sport of squash. We will also have free memberships and a range of activities, including a middle and high school program. We will continue to work with Squash Marts, our local squash and education programming. One of the best parts of being a community squash center means that we have an opportunity to open the doors and really bridge the gap in all communities and diversify the sport of squash.
Thanks, Sakura. No pressure, but the Specter Center will be serving as a beacon for all community squash programs around the country. So we're going to have to get it right. I know you will. So thank you for all you're doing. Narelle, I wanted to turn to you, and you wear a few hats here at US Squash, and you've been involved in developing some of the programs that we're looking forward to rolling out moving forward in junior squash. So can you talk a little bit about what those look like?
Sure, Kevin. The pandemic has given us a real opportunity to navigate the new rating system, to bring players together in meaningful ways, and we really see the importance moving forward to make this more inclusive for all juniors, to get access to the game and to compete not necessarily on a national level, or if you want to take it that way, for kids to just get to play in a fun, competitive environment. We're also working on the on-ramp of this and how it's going to look, working with teaching pros across the country. They're really helping us to navigate the system and making sure we're including all of these types of players in many different pathways. We're also building out tools to really engage girls specifically, to get them involved in the sport and especially to retain them in the sport all the way through adult life. So we're really excited to focus on that in the coming year.
I'm excited for that, which it's been a terrible experience over the last year for many people, and we're looking forward to sort of having the opportunity to build out programs based on our reflections on how to move the sport forward. So we'll have to leave it at that for this lightning roundtable here. I want to thank the three of you. This trio is incredibly important to all things U.S. squash, and we'll have upcoming Zoom sessions where we can give the community an opportunity to ask questions, express concerns, share their thoughts as well. So I just want to thank everyone who's been involved in this special Junior Awards evening. Given that we had to do it remotely, we just think it's even more important for us to get these messages out, particularly about sportsmanship, but just as importantly about really looking forward to welcoming you back to squash. And on the junior squash and sportsmanship topic, I wanted to let people know that we're rolling out a youth and excellence in squash, sort of a YES committee, and that'll be made up of juniors in the game, as well as those who have recently graduated, so they can provide direct input in terms of how we should be moving the sport forward, especially on the youth athletic sides of things. So if you want to be involved in that out there, just send me an email, kevin.klipstein@ussquash.org. So once again, in closing, we look forward to welcoming you back to junior squash. Congratulations to the honorees here tonight. Thank you so much to the parents and to the coaches in the community, and we look forward to seeing you soon.